Hi, Tarina O'Rourke here. I'm here to share my healing journey from a life of limerence, which is a life of being a love addict. My story probably became apparent to me about 5 months into my newer relationship, which is almost 2 years long, when I took my new partner, my love object, on a trip to Europe. And I had planned to go to Europe to see my daughter, and I was excited to see her. And then I thought, well, hey, I've got this new boyfriend. I'm just going to buy him a ticket. We can all go together and she can meet him. And then she and I can, whatever, have time together. And we were in line for the security of getting on the airplane to go to Paris. And he grabs my phone and he says, "Who's on your phone?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, who's on my phone? I'm trying to get through security here." "No, there was somebody, you're talking to someone and you've erased it now." And I mean, I don't know anything about phones. I'll admit it's like, I don't know a car unless it's white. But I just was like, why would I be communicating with somebody when we're getting on a plane? So that was the second or third time that he had accused me of possibly being interested in someone else. And there were other little tiny things that really, I got in trouble one time for when I bought some drinks. I was flirting with a bartender. All right. Friendly, not flirting. So that began the trip that should have been a delightful, warm, joyous, experiential process in developing a relationship into a rather traumatic one. But I put it off. See, I said, well, he's never traveled to Europe. He's nervous. He doesn't know about, the money exchange and the languages. And, I can understand why someone would be a little, freaked out about that at 60 years old. So I let it go. A few months later, we got dumped with a very big project that I had invested in. It was an investment that I'd made on a property that needed true renovation from floor to ceiling. And my contractor walked off the job and taking a lot of money with him. So I had to do it myself. And this guy was involved in my life. And he's like, "Hey, I've done flip houses. I am more than happy to help you." I was like, "Gosh, you're between jobs. You sure?" Yeah, I really want to help you do this. And so we worked for about 20 weeks. I'm not kidding when I say this, 40 to 50 hours a week, hard on that property. We put in the floors, we painted the walls, we brought in the doors, we did, took the 3-foot high grass down and the bushes that had been overgrown for 20 years out. I was so happy that he was there. I was so grateful because I just I didn't have it in me to do that job, and I didn't want it, but it was necessary. And I had returned from living in Spain for 3 years, where I had been with a man who ended up being domestically violent. And prior to that, I was married for 42 years. It's a long time. It's my entire childhood, adulthood, early adulthood, late adulthood. So I didn't really know about dating. I think I knew what I wanted in a man, but I'm sure it was a very idealistic want, a very idealistic wish list. But this guy, he was smart, he was funny, he was quick, he had energy, he was sexy, he was helpful, he was nurturing. Wow. And we'd both had abusive childhoods. And sometimes, as weird as this sounds, you feel a certain kinship with someone else who's experienced what you have, because that's deep in our subconscious minds. Until the age of 7, most of children until the age of 7 are really only observing and retrieving and analyzing information from a subconscious part of their mind. And it isn't until they're about 7 that they start to wonder, why is the world not focused on me? Why is mommy and daddy having why are they yelling? The child mind wants to believe that they are the center of the universe. And that's okay, because that's a survival technique. That's a way of gaining what we now call self-esteem. But at the age of 7, things start to shake up a little bit. Kids go to school, and a lot of things change in the brain. And though I know brains have the ability to, they're very malleable, and we are now talking about neuroplasticity, which means the brain can reconfigure itself. We actually act about 80 to 90% of the time from our subconscious minds. So when we are in an argument with somebody and we feel like we've lost ourselves, we're like, "Rah, what's going on? I'm in crisis." It's because our subconscious is warning us. It's saying, beep, beep. Remember when you were a little girl and someone yelled at you like this? Beep, and so I had a lot of empathy for him because I knew that coming off that relationship in Spain was terrifying, and I had lost a lot of who I was, and I didn't feel really equipped to be in a serious relationship yet, but it all kind of unfolded, and we ended up moving in together very, very quickly. Due to some circumstances that he had and I had, and yet the night that we were supposed to go out, as I told before in my other video, he got mad at me. Now, why didn't I write that down in my journal? Why didn't I say he got mad the first date and I haven't even seen his face yet? Nope, didn't do that. Said, oh, poor guy, I've hurt his feelings. I must be really important or something. I mean, you really might want to meet me. This is awesome. God, what do we say to ourselves that is so goofy? But that was the first clue. They began to come forth over the next few months, but I spent my time denying them. I spent my time overlooking, tolerating, accepting, all this stuff that now when I look back and read my journals, oh my gosh, like where was I? Where's me? Me is not looking out for me. I'll tell you, that part of me was way vacant. And if you talk about what is mental illness is living a lie and pretending it's not there, because that's what I was doing. And now, 20 months later, after being apart for 6 weeks, because he would rant and rave almost daily that I was cheating on him. Again, I don't need his money. I don't need his kids. I don't need his anything. So why would I be with him building a business and then go cheat as well? Especially with men in my neighborhood when I walk the dogs. And I'm gone 20 minutes and I'm in sweaty sweats and I'm hoofing it to get my exercise. And when I get back, I have had sex with a neighbor. Really? That is pretty unlikely. But it didn't stop. I mean, at the beginning, I thought, oh, he's off on a tangent here. I don't get it. But I'll just, smooth it over and kind of adapt by changing my routes, the different directions I walk. Maybe if I go on that path instead of that path, he will recognize there's nobody on that path I care about seeing. But then this path had a man. He had a man. By the time it was done, 7 men within 4 blocks of my house I was having sex with. Every night, probably. For at least 1 minute each, because literally I wasn't gone any more than 7 or 8 minutes a lot of the time. So that man, I realized, had a problem. And I said, I think we need a little split. I think we need to take some time out, because we're going to try to build a business around helping couples learn to navigate relationships at an older age with all the different obstacles and baggage we bring. And we are not managing our own baggage. So how can we possibly build a business to help others? Right? Pretty silly. So I would like to talk more about what this has done to me and how I was so resistant to accepting that he had no love for me. He might have liked me, but I was a convenience. And today he served me with papers to go to small claims court for financially impoverishing him. This is a man that I paid to help me build and work on the flip house. This is a man I gave money to every single month paid for all of our travel, most of which has been to go see his family, of whom he was estranged to for years until I encouraged him to connect. And I paid the taxes, and I paid the mortgage, why was I so nice? Why? In fact, I often thought that maybe he was upset about things because there was a power differential. He felt like, I had the money and I was independent, and we were now living in a community that I'd grown up in, and I knew people, and I was trying to understand what was going on with him. But in the end, this narcissist, this absolutely incredibly enmeshed narcissist, had no desire to do anything but destroy me emotionally. And he did a very good job. So I'm working on healing, and I'm going to therapy, and I'm going to do ketamine treatments for mood disorders, and I'm going to go to a long-term residential therapy for trauma survivors. And I am going to get better, and I am going to get well. But not everyone has that privilege. And I know that. So I would like to be the person who can empower you and share with you how difficult I know this journey is, and how disappointing, and like your heart just thinks, what happened? For so long we say it's our fault, for so long. Hopefully you'll get to the point where you realize it's not your fault. And I'm slowly getting to the point where I realize that too. But it's frightening, and it's shaming, and it's embarrassing, and it's confusing. And so I'm here as your friend, Tarina, living the life in limerence, trying to heal, and hopefully being a good guide for you for your future. Thanks. Bye.